72. Roderick George Hebden, Green Party, 2,539. Catherine Kozidowski, Reform UK, 6,194. Matthew David McCabe, Liberal Democrat, 1,843. There were 147 rejected ballot papers, and the turnout of this election was 61.92%. And I do hereby declare that Heidi Alexander is duly elected.
Now that is significant because that is the first Labour gain of the night, Nick.
Yes, Julian Waronker is there in Swindon for us. They are loving that for the Labour Party, aren't they? Heidi Alexander has got the seat.
She looked so delighted when she came into the room earlier. She is now standing at that podium celebrating the fact that she has won this seat. 21,676 she won to 12,070 to Sir Robert Buckland. So that's a significant switch in the fortunes of Labour and the Conservatives since the last election. The third place went to Reform UK, 6,194. Let's listen more into Heidi Alexander.
To invest in our schools and our NHS, to restore honesty, decency and integrity to politics. Now, as some of you may know, I'm a Swindon girl, born and bred, and I can tell you this, I'm on a mission to restore pride and opportunity to my hometown, a mission to ensure kids growing up here today don't have to move out to get on. A mission to build a high-wage local economy where hard work is rewarded and the contribution of all is valued. It's the honour of my life to have been elected to represent my hometown. Together, we are going to put Swindon back on the map for all the right reasons.
Heidi Alexander there, the new Labour MP for Swindon South. The first significant result in the sense, Phil Carey.
16,852.
The Labour candidate.
Chris Einon, 10,779. Rachel Sarah Featherstone, 2,993.
The Green Party candidate.
Niall Dane Hodson, 3,602.
Liberal Democrat.
Greg Peacock, 5,731.
The Conservative candidate.
The number of rejected ballot papers was 99.
So there we have the results in Sunderland Central, another result in Phil, another from the North East in which Reform UK do extremely well and the Conservatives in what we got used to calling the Red Wall. It's the Red Wall again, isn't it?
Well, so let's go through this one because I think it's quite interesting. It's another one where turnout is down, and turnout is down by 7 percentage points. These are big drops in turnout. Reform up into second place. The Conservatives, I mean, there were bits of Sunderland where the Conservatives were challenging a few elections ago. This seat, or notionally this seat last time, the Conservatives got over a third of the vote. That's now down to 14 percentage points. So it's a Labour win on roughly the same, or actually identically the same share as last time, but with Reform pushing up into second place. Now, what I'm going to check in a second is what we would have predicted in that seat, but just eyeballing it looks to me pretty much exactly what we would have expected from the exit.
And just one tiny point to add, Lewis Atkinson, now the Labour MP there, is the first MP of the three of the night who's not been an MP before, and we are going to see, if this exit poll is right, or even if it's a bit wrong, an extraordinary number, hundreds of new members of Parliament.
Which is itself fascinating. Now, it's a little after midnight. You may have been waiting for the sum up of what we've learned so far in the news, but because we had a new result coming in, we decided to wait for that. It is now 5 past midnight, and there is a lot more to come.
Yes, all eyes on Swindon South, the night's first proper battleground seat. Labour needing a 5.7% swing there to defeat Sir Robert Buckland. Lee Kane, once Boris Johnson's Director of Communications, will be here, as will ex-Labour MP Margaret Hodge, who says she is worried about turnout.
My fear is that the anger that people feel will turn to apathy and people will not use their democratic right to vote in the general election. A low turnout could well be the main headline coming out of this coming election.
The main headline is, of course, the prediction of a Labour landslide, 170 majority, but there's a lot more to chew on. All that after the latest news with Caroline Nichols.
In the past hour, Labour have claimed their first 3 seats in a general election, forecast to give the party a landslide victory. The exit poll suggests Labour will have a majority of 170, doubling the number of their MPs in Westminster. The first declaration came in Houghton and Sunderland, which was retained by Labour's Bridget Phillipson, who's now likely to become the Education Secretary.
Bridget Mayor Phillipson has been duly elected to serve as member for the said constituency.
Labour will honour the trust that you have placed in us. I will honour the trust that you have placed in me. And I will work every day to deliver the promises that Labour has made and the better future that we, each of us and all of us, deserve.
Labour also took the new constituency of Blyth and Ashington, won by the veteran MP Ian Lavery. Reform came second in both seats, pushing the Conservatives well into third place. They're predicted to win 13 seats overall. Reform UK's co-deputy leader Dr David Bull told us earlier that it sounded from the exit poll like a very strong performance for the party.
If it is right, this is an historic breakthrough for a party that is just 4 years old. And it really shows to me the movement and what people are saying behind closed doors, actually. We've spoken a lot about shy reformers.
This election is predicted to be the Conservatives' worst ever, slashing their seats to not much more than a third of those won in 2019. On social media, Rishi Sunak thanked Conservative candidates, volunteers and voters for their hard work and support. The Northern Ireland Secretary, Steve Baker, is projected to lose his seat in Wickham in Buckinghamshire. He admits it's a difficult night for the Tories.
I'm very conscious if 241 Conservative MPs lose their seats, it will be a very, very painful time for them, for their families, for their staff, for the Conservative Party. And obviously all of us are very worried about the future of the country under a Labour government.
The exit poll indicates that the Liberal Democrats could gain a 5-fold increase in MPs on the last general election, up to 61. The forecast for the SNP suggests a huge loss of seats for the party, leaving them with just 10 MPs. Their former leader, Nicola Sturgeon, said it wasn't a good night for the party. The Greens are predicted to take 2 seats. Well, thank you very much, Caroline. Good morning. It is now morning, officially. It's 8 minutes past midnight. If you are with us...
a couple of times.
Yeah, well, we've got there, Nick. We've got there. If you're with us wherever you are, thank you so much for keeping us company. You're listening to us on 5 Live, on BBC Radio 4 as well, and via smart speaker on your BBC Sounds app, and you can watch us on BBC iPlayer as well, which will give you a little sneak peek into what goes on in a radio studio in a fairly marathon broadcast like this.
Which, the fact you've reminded me of that means I've just put this banana back down again. I'm feeling a little bit self-conscious now.
Right, and it's a manky old banana as well, so put that away. We're also asking you to tell us how you're feeling about what you're hearing tonight. We've had the exit poll. It's not the result, of course, but it gives us an indication of what things might look like in the morning, much later on in the morning. So tell us how you're feeling, what it means for you, for your family, for your community. 85058 is a number you can send us a text on. 5 Live listeners will be very familiar with that. But if you're normally a Radio 4 listener, all you have to do is text that number and send in your comments to us. 85058.
Well, let us just, we've heard the headline several times, Phil Cowley, but it is worth just going back and taking a breath and saying, wow, again, as I did when we first read out that exit poll, the scale of the turnaround that Keir Starmer has managed to bring about in the Labour Party's success, when in this studio's elsewhere people said, can't be done, the mountain's too high, Labour could never turn around the result in 5 years. It's quite something, isn't it?
It is, and actually, if you go back and look at the leadership election that Keir Starmer won, it was remarkable how much that election was not fought on a desire to pick someone who could become Prime Minister in 4 or 5 years' time. It was fought on the basis of rebuilding the party. And yet, he's come from what was a catastrophic defeat in 2019 to a landslide on a par with that achieved by Tony Blair in 1997. Now, earlier on we had a discussion where I got a bit confused because I didn't understand why the Lib Dems were claiming this was their best result since 1906. And it was because they were saying that it was the best number of gains they'd made, or their successor party had made since 1906. If you look at Labour's performance,